Hello and welcome to Rokk Players. Slightly late start. Some occasional hiccups is bound to happen. We don't have a Rokk with us today, but that doesn't stop us from having a great show anyway. As usual, I have with me HOULTS.
Hey.
Next to HOULTS, we have Clive Illenden. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hello. Good to be here.
Thank you for joining us. And below me, we have the SPG, Simply Pawn Gaming, which is not what Rokk thought it was initially. And then to his right, we have Ray3473, Gaming Cyborg. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, man. How are you doing, Bjorn?
I'm doing surprisingly well. I finally got rid of my back pain that's been plaguing me the entire day, and I'm surprisingly energized considering I was up at 4 in the morning doing.
Oh my goodness!
That second wind, you're gonna be wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I had to do some server patching at work, and I was like, "Yeah, you can only restart that during the middle of the night when no one's using it." So I was like, "All right, I guess I'll work at 4 then." So second wind hitting right as we start the show, which is really good. So but yeah, so we have a couple of news items this week, and I think one of them we'll probably manage to dive into quite well. But before we do, let's get some housekeeping out the way. Rokk is running a giveaway. If you want to have a chance to win the Callisto Protocol and also 60 days of either Game Pass Ultimate, PlayStation Plus Premium, or GeForce NOW 3080. Then just click, go to his Twitter and or on the channel. It might even be in the description. I'll show you find it. So that's the winner will be drawn in a month. So you have plenty of time to join. And yeah, guys, what have you been playing this week? HOULTS, let's start with you.
So I was in full hype mode. I've been playing Bayonetta 3. So what's better than more Bayonettas? So I was action packed. Put about 14 hours into it, start to finish. Finished it, and I'm just over the moon with it. That I've actually went back to play Bayonetta 1 again because I was just really in this hack and slash mood before I'm actually waiting for God of War Ragnarok.
Ooh. Yeah, that's around the corner now, right?
But I have to say, me button bashing skills ain't what it used to be. Put my poor hands.
You're getting old, HOULTS.
Yeah.
You're getting old.
I feel like a dog with its paw going. Oh.
Clive, what about you? What have you been playing this week?
Well, the weekend I finished A Plague's Tale Requiem. Absolutely loved it. It's up there now. One of my all-time favorite games. It was that good for me personally.
Really?
I've rediscovered my love of narrative, driven action games. When people say what sort of your favorite type of game, it's always hard to say because it varies. There's so much variety. But I think actually good constructed narrative stories with good action, good characters, good acting, like Red Dead Redemption 2, I absolutely loved. The Lara Crofts. This with a brilliant badass, heroine in it, Amicia, whatever. It was just awesome. Really hard in places. Oh man, I spent like hours. I mean, literally hours on just one little section. Just repeat, rinse and repeat. They say, I realized that us gamers are close to kind of insane because they say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome.
Yeah,
that's exactly what you do.
You are right. That is exactly what we do.
Games, we do. We just go right. No, this time. Okay, the man comes around the corner. That one's got the arrow. He's got the spear. Okay, do it again. Damn. Right, start again. Man comes around the corner. He's got the arrow. That man's got. And you just.
Yeah, I realize that I don't have time for that anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I'm that type of.
I was determined to finish it.
I'm that type of game that sometimes I can run at a wall going, I'm sure I can scale this wall. And it's not even the right way. And it's like half an hour. I was so close to getting over this.
Yeah, I can't climb over this mountain. I don't have to go around it.
I needed a palate cleanser afterwards when I finished. So I just wanted something kind of nice and light and easy. So I jumped into Crossfire, which I played the sort of the beta before it was announced on Xbox. I really enjoyed it. It's it plays really well, and I just jumped into it. And I'm not very good at sort of PvP and stuff like that, and yet I ended up in the middle of the kind of in terms of kills on my first go without even looking at what I need to do and here's that. It played and responded, and I was playing this in the cloud, all of this in the cloud. It played and responded really, really well. So then I played the campaign, which is really kind of light and frothy. It's not particularly long, it's not too difficult, but I just wanted something easy. And then because I'd rediscovered sort of narrative games, I went back to Battlefield 5. Or Battlefield V, because I absolutely loved Battlefield 1 when it first came out.
Yeah, one has a really good story.
That really got me emotionally. The reason I got that game, I justified it because my daughter was studying history and the First World War, and I'd seen some trailers for this, and I thought this is educational. So I bought it. So I bought it for that reason, and then I got her to play the first level to sort of give her a sense, because you're fully thrown into the kind of the horrors of war in the first opening bit. But anyway, yeah. So now I'm currently sort of making my way through Battlefield 5 or V.
Nice. Then you got some gaming ahead of you then.
Yeah.
SPG, what about you? What have you been playing this week?
Battlefield 5 actually, but the multiplayer component. But played some Battlefield 5. Been playing some Battlefield 1. And then Wednesdays I've been chipping away at Shadow of War. I just finished the main story, and I have the DLC of Blade of Galadriel and Desolation of Mordor yet to play through. Fantastic game. Really challenging in some places, but most of the enemies are paper tigers. It's got the Batman-esque combat mixed with some Assassin's Creed. Hell of a good time, and as Clive was saying, I really enjoy voice acting as well. And every single orc you run across has some awful line to say to you, which is amazing. So,
and also,
I already put you in the grave, didn't I, Grave Walker?
Yeah.
And
Troy Baker is always a welcome sight to my ears. So, Ray, what about you?
I went back and started playing Rainbow Six Extraction. There was a guy named Matt. He was from Germany. He asked, could he hop in and play? Found out that he was actually like a speed gamer. Like, what do those guys do? The speed runs. He was very fast. I am way behind in my studies on that game. There's studies that you have to complete. So he was helping me with my studies on that game. I am addicted to this game called Marvel Snap. It's a card game. If you guys don't know, you better go ask somebody. It's free. A lot of people are playing it.
I'm trying to stay away.
I'm addicted. I play it on my phone. I play it on my PC. I'm actually going to stream it tonight. And then one of the free games in the Epic Store is the Vietnam game, which I said, let me give this game a try. I kept getting shot in the head. So
that's Vietnam. That's Vietnam for you.
Vietnam for you. No,
I mean, I got napalm dropped on me. Yeah. I probably would not be able to survive in the Vietnam War if this was real life. So that's what I've been up to.
And what was the game called, Ray?
It's Vietnam something. Hold on, I got it right here for
Agent Orange.
No.
Oh, okay. 20 clicks west of Saigon.
Hamburger Hill DLC.
I love history, and I love historic games. And the game is actually The Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, and it's in the Epic Game Store right now for you guys to pick up from November 3rd to November 10th. So you can pick that up for free. And they also have another game called, I think it's Filament. That game's free as well. So pick those games up.
Yeah, and we'll get it more into Figment. Figment again.
Thank you, Rokk. Thank you, Rokk.
Yeah, and also I think Tottenham might also be a name for the game.
Hey, go Sun! Woo!
Right. So, shall we dive into some news before we go into the big topic for today?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get the screen up. There we go. Let's show it to you guys, because we obviously Thursday we have GeForce NOW news, as we do every Thursday. First of the month, the first blog post of the month, meaning we get a lot of news about the games to come. The big ones obviously being Warhammer Dark Tide that I know at least some of you have already played, right? In the beta.
I sure did. I played with SPG, and I had a hell of a time playing this game. So
yep, I got to play with Rokk too, and David Wilson. It's a really, really interesting, fun game. Do you know what the full cost is going to be when it's released?
I'm assuming I have no idea, but I'm assuming it will be like full on title, $60 game. And I mean, it is the 40 like the spiritual successor, I think, of Vermintide with the Warhammer Fantasy one, I think. So Fat Shark has done some.
Feels
some great
very
work with that.
Destiny-esque kind of.
Oh, really?
It feels like running into the tower and all that stuff. Yeah, it kind of does. It's definitely its own thing, but it's definitely going to be a grind, I think, but probably a fun one. Yeah.
As they say, 26 titles will be that we know of already, or they know already, will be joining GeForce Now this month, and 11 of them hitting this week.
Ooh,
it's 35.
Price. Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's a great price.
Because it should give you hours and hours of grinding. Plus, you can do it with friends. So I think that's a great price for that game.
Yeah, especially since you can do the co-op. It's a big deal, part of the game. But I think should we have some new some new games coming to GeForce Now? We'll go through them in a minute. But I think the biggest thing here is the 5G provider in South Africa called Rain will be launched using GeForce Now powered by Rain early next year in South Africa, which I think it's the first cloud gaming entry into Africa, in like the whole continent of Africa, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's great.
So is it just in 5G though? So it's just for mobile users?
I think it's more that the 5G provider, they are hosting it on their servers and using NVIDIA's tech, so like the partnership, just like we have in I don't remember which partner they have in Brazil, and in Australia they have different partners there as well. So it also might mean that the pricing is slightly different, more aimed at the local markets and the purchasing power that they have. Because I know in Australia, I think it was $3.99 Australian dollars for a month for the priority tier.
Well, they said look forward to more updates to come.
Yeah.
So I think they got a lot more stuff coming up there.
Most likely, and I mean, if this is the first entry into Africa, this could open up gaming for a lot of people in South Africa. I think it's not a really big market, I think, for gaming currently, but that doesn't mean it couldn't be. So really excited about that. Early next year.
Some more up. So looking at what looks like a South African blog here. It says Rain, South Africa's 4G and 5G data network, has announced today the signing of a partnership agreement with NVIDIA to bring high-performance cloud gaming to South Africa with GeForce Now. As you said, NVIDIA GeForce Now service will be hosted locally in Rain data centers.
Yeah, which is honestly a pretty good way to solve it. I mean, that means NVIDIA don't have to build data centers around the world. They can just jack into the ones that already exist, which is fair enough, I think. So
all you need is it says with GeForce Now and Rain, all you will need is a screen, compatible controllers, and the internet. So it looks like it's more than it looks like it's beyond just mobile by the looks of things.
And also, obviously, it wouldn't surprise me if then they have some sort of deals like sign up for a Rain contract with your phone and get GeForce Now for 6 months or something.
So it'll start with a limited beta program, followed by a commercial launch.
Yeah,
and South Africa has estimated 24 million gamers.
Yeah, and I mean that's I think our GeForce Now around like 20 million as it is. I think like it wouldn't surprise me if this is a quite untapped market for cloud gaming. So
yeah,
interesting to see how they do with the numbers. Hopefully they do well enough to announce some numbers so that we know. Otherwise, we'll just have to guess, I guess. But moving on, we have some more games coming. We have I think the big one this week is Total War 3 Kingdoms, the next game in the Total War series. This time, instead of being Warhammer or like Rome or medieval or Shogun as we've had in the past, it's the Three Kingdoms saga. So ancient China, but also slightly, maybe not totally historically correct. it's like 20 years ago since I last read up about the era. But if you play Dynasty Warriors, you will likely recognize a lot of the characters. So more Total War, which is, I mean, I really like Total War, but I don't.
What kind of genre is it then? Like
it's an RTS with some turn-based.
Right.
So you have like an overworld, which is like turn-based. Where you build up your armies, move them around on the map, and then when you go into combat, it goes into like more an RTS style with all of your troops, like thousands of troops on. At this point, I'm guessing they have on the screen at once, and you command like send them this unit of 200 infantry, send them off onto the left flank, and
so like civilization type thing.
Yeah, but
but with the real-time combat.
Yeah, but this I think you're in ancient China and you're fighting off the warlords that are trying to take over. So
yeah, so Dynasty Warriors, but a strategy game. So like save light on the overworld, and then you have quite deep RTS, like troop placement and troop movement on the battlefield. So if you're into strategy game, I can really recommend the genre, like the series itself. I think this is the 13th entry into the series, Total War series. They've been at it for quite a while.
See, I'm not a strategy person, but when you said Dynasty Warriors, I was like thinking I was going to go in one person versus 1,000, and that's my luck. It's
the same world, and it's the same like the story. It's the same characters for the most part, but rather than that, you will be looking out from on top and seeing 6,000 versus 6,000, more likely. Other than that, they mentioned obviously a bit about the 3080 tier, which they always do. Great tier, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing new there per se. And then we have some more Genshin Impact content. They're really pushing out content fast.
Right. Don't forget they do have 40% off right now on the
they do.
Yeah.
The 40% discount.
Yeah.
If you don't have GeForce Now, I can warmly recommend picking it up, especially at that price, just to really give it a go for half a year.
And that's
how I started out.
That's on the priority pass, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not the RTX, but still.
I mean, you do have RTX enabled, but you don't have a 3080 tier. You have like a 2000 series, which is also RTX enabled, but maybe can't max everything out with RTX on. But I mean, priority, like for most people, priority is probably enough. But obviously, 3080 is like the difference in quality is very noticeable. Like it's really good looking and really like you have the 4K support, you have the 120 FPS. So like, don't get me wrong, 3080 tier is amazing, but like value for money, priority is like, at least to me, as someone who's played a lot of PC games over the years, it's like. Priority tier is a no-brainer for me to get, whereas 3080 is more like, do I really want to spend that much right now? If I game a lot, then sure, because it is better. But
well, there's many reasons to use GeForce Now. Some people might let GeForce Now do all the heavy lifting for their streams.
I mean, it all depends.
I did that
on the
early day.
gamer. Yeah, all depends on the gamer. The gamer wants the graphics and the ray tracing and all that.
Yeah.
All that all that good stuff. Then go for it and got the money.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so more content for Genshin Impact. They are just pushing out content. Very like I think when I played, they were pushing out like maybe once every 3 months there was something new. Then that was like once a month big content patch. We still haven't gotten HOULTS to try it yet, I think.
It has with enhanced touch controls, I see there.
Yeah, it does. And it's essentially like if you play Genshin Impact on your phone locally, then you can try it on GeForce Now and it will be exactly the same. The only difference will be they don't maybe support all of the different aspect ratios that phones has. I get some black bars on mine because the Pixel 6 has slightly different. But yeah, it really is it's a good implementation. It's basically just like playing local on your phone, but you don't have to install anything. Which, considering it's like 14 gigabytes on your phone, that's kind of nice. And also any of you guys play Apex Legends?
I actually played this morning. I haven't played this game for about 3 years, and I got in there and I got owned and I turned it off and I got out. I got out.
Yeah.
I got out.
I'm too old.
Yeah, I used to play a lot. So before Stadia, I played it quite a lot. It wasn't very good, but I played it a lot. But I hadn't played for ages, and then I tried it on Boosteroid, and I had to set up a sort of a new EA account to get in, and so it's fine. I thought, well, this is okay because I'll be matched with newbie noobs, and I used to play this game, so I should be all right. And sure enough, I was matched with newbie noobs, and I was terrible. It was hopeless. Like I just could like worse than it used to. I remember it.
Yeah, but
it's
you
extremely.
And I realized it's probably a lot of Smurf accounts.
Yeah, but Clive, you didn't. I had two of my the mates. They got killed, and they're yelling, "Hey, idiot! Pick us up! Pick us up! Come on!" Because when your teammates get killed, you got to pick them up, and you got to take them to this place.
I'm that guy.
Make them respawn.
Like, come get me. Come get me. I'm here.
Hey, you went right by me.
I picked
good
them
lad.
up.
Good lad. Now
Picked them up. I'm running for my life, and I got killed.
Yeah. Well, I'm always that gamer that's last man standing. But people go, "Halt, you're nowhere near the battlefield, mate. You're like you're miles behind us."
It's like when I played Rainbow Six Siege for the first time. I was suddenly the last person standing on my team, and everyone was like, I was just hunkering down in the corner, like super scared. And I was like, "You have to do the objectives." And I don't know the objectives. It's my first game.
There's nothing like getting super upset at a 12-year-old that's more competent than you are. There's nothing like it in the world.
My son and his mate are ridiculously good at PvP. And I mean, they just own everybody when they go. I mean, they play nonstop, play CS:GO all the time, and they're playing with like the Russians and then everybody, like that all the time because Russians seem to be online all the time on CS:GO for some reason. And then they go, "Oh, let's do a spot Fortnite," and then it's just like almost unfair. They're just ridiculously good. So. I always trying to get my son to play with me because I know he'll carry me.
Well, we play with a guy thrives and he's super good at it, and he's playing with all of us, and it's like I don't know. He's bringing a Thor's hammer to an ant fight. Like he's crushing us, man.
Well, the thing is, especially especially if people have keyboard and mouse and stuff, there's a certain added accuracy when people practice like that. But with Apex Legends, the thing is, what I used to find is I used to see somebody, I used to shoot at them, empty several magazines into them, and then they turn around, give one shot, and I'd be dead. Yes. And I'd be thinking, that is your experience of Apex.
Well, your armor, you got to upgrade. You got to get the
exactly.
armor.
But the point is also they're much more. So some of my bullets are a bit like in Pulp Fiction.
It's misses them.
You
telling me that wasn't divine intervention?
That was divine.
The hitboxes are quite precise. So like if you're hitting the midriff or the shields, you're not getting anything. But like you get a headshot, which people are really good know instantly. They've got that muscle memory. Like I tend to always shoot at the waist. It's like when I play football, I used to always like shoot at the keeper. But experienced strikers shoot to the left of the keeper or to the So experienced sort of PvPers, they know and their muscle memory just points that cursor straight at the head. And a couple of shots and you're dead. Whereas I'm emptying a cartridge, a magazine into somebody, and basically their shield goes down like maybe 50 or 100, and you just think, what do I have to do to kill you?
And then you got those people that are like hitting their equipment button as they're running across the map, and their character's going like this the whole time. And you're like, what the
I'm not getting that panic, so I'll empty a clip. And then Clive will go. HOULTS on your teammate. Why do you shoot all them bullets?
And what sucks is you're shooting around him too, all around him.
No, you suck when you have the purple shield helmet and the purple shield armor, and you still get your ass handed to you. Yeah. That's what sucks.
So many times you do genuinely think, how? I've just emptied every magazine I've had into you. You've just turned around and popped me, and how? How's that? How are you still standing? You must be cheating, but it's on console. It used to be on console when they work, so they're not cheating. It's just like, no, it's just you. You're just rubbish.
Yep.
So yeah, I
I've
was
had to
looking
come to
forward to
terms
playing it
with that.
again, but yeah.
Yeah.
So shall we just quickly go through the games listed here, so that people know what to pick up. Last week, I think it was last week, when they initially said Star Ocean, the Divine Force was going to come, and then they
Yes.
revoked that. Now it
Yeah,
is
they
coming.
Yeah, they did
Ray,
tweet it out.
that-
They did tweet it out.
That
Yeah,
second
so,
game, man. Horsetails, an SPG stream.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
Yes,
Saw
please.
that.
So Against the Storm is joining this week. Horsetails, which I'm now assuming will have a stream with Ray down the line. Space Tale, every journey leads home. The Chant,
That
the
looks very
Entropy Center.
interesting. Looks very interesting.
The Chant. That's
a survivor horror, isn't it?
Yeah, the characters, the monsters look like the Last Among Us kind of characters.
Oh, that's interesting.
The little the plant head things.
Yeah, horror, so not for me, but it sounds like something that Rokk will enjoy. The Entropy Center we have as well. We have WRC Generations, the FIA WRC official game. That's a handful. Filament, which is free on Epic Games, as you mentioned, is a puzzle game, right? Some sort of.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
was
it
on
looks like a
Stadia.
puzzle game. Yeah, it looks like a
Okay.
puzzle game. No, that's the
Shit.
difference.
It's-
No, you're thinking of another game.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
Figment, right?
Figment.
Figment.
Yeah.
Figment, yeah.
Okay.
What is Figment then? Filament is. It is a puzzle game though, still, but very different puzzle. Not the puzzle game that I thought it was. All right. That's loading slowly. Let's move back to the list here. Epic Games. There we go. And what else do we have here coming out? We have
Of those
Star Ocean.
games, sorry, of those games. Oh yeah. Sorry, Karen, read them, and then I'll
Yeah,
say which are the ones that people are.
Yeah, exactly. Star
Which is
Ocean, the
the-
Divine Force. We have Page UI, Risk, Global Domination, and Total War 3 Kingdoms all arriving today, or already arrived. So yeah, as you said, Clive, which ones are you most excited about among these? Any you will be picking up?
There's nothing there that leaps out at you.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, the Star Ocean Divine Force,
Mhm.
just because it's it's so Japanese, it's just ridiculous.
I think if you guys look at the chant of the trailer, you'll be very interested. Trust me.
Yeah, Star Ocean for me all the way. I mean, when I seen that they're working with Square Enix, I was like, why don't you bring the whole back collection with it?
Yeah.
I would
There's a
love-
bunch. Yeah.
Because the reviews
There's a
reviews sort of upset fans with this new one. I mean, I'm going to try to see where I fall into it, and on GFN 3080 will be a lovely spot for me to actually try it. So, fingers crossed, I'm one of them gamers that enjoy it, because I want Square Enix to be so successful in the cloud, so they constantly bring more and more and more for me.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Total War was some of my first PC games that I played was the Total War.
Yeah,
So
same here.
I might
Rome.
Yeah. Oh, good one. So I might jump into Total War.
Yeah, I'm not leaning towards Total War as well. Just because I really I did enjoy. I like the story of Dynasty Warriors the first time I played it. Then obviously it's just the same story every year, but the gameplay's fun. So it'll be fun to experience the story, but maybe a bit more true to life. It's been years since I played Total War last time, so I agree. Total War.
Risk is interesting. I used to play Risk as a kid with my mates in the summer holidays, and I seem to remember it. Yeah, the games used to go on for ages because it didn't really have a kind of. If I seem to remember, like a particularly sort of strict set of rules. It was quite open in its gameplay. I seem to remember. It was a board game, but we used to play. We used to have get-togethers in my sort of young teens, and during the summer holidays, just play Monopoly and Risk and stuff like that.
Did you ever play Bread?
No, I think that was just a Liverpool thing. HOULTS, yeah, or is that the TV series?
The TV series.
So obviously with the Risk, this is the same game I played it a bit on my phone, and it is it is a good rendition of Risk. It is a good rendition, like Risk with a lot of extra like there's I think it's like to 50 different maps you can play on. But unfortunately, it's not they don't have support for the Legacy Edition. It would be really cool to see them add. Because there is like Risk is in itself it's kind of fun a few times every now and then. But as someone who plays a lot of board games, I can just say like Risk Legacy, that's where the fun is. Because that's where every time you finish a game, then you change the game rules for the future. Maybe you add a bridge, like a bridge between two territories that didn't have one before. Maybe this one is now worth more points, or this one is just a wasteland now.
I remember it being quite deep. Like complexities.
Yeah, I mean, Risk can get really Risk is one of those. It's really accessible, but it's really good. But it's still like quite strategic. I like as someone who plays a lot of strategy games, I find it to be a bit too much like luck of the die rolls.
Right. Yeah.
But also that's great for introducing new people to the genre. So
when. Around about the same time, so probably about 10 or 11, I remember my aunt bought me a board game called Democracy. I think it was called
Diplomacy, maybe.
Diplomacy, that's it. Diplomacy.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love Diplomacy.
That didn't, and the thing is, you grow, I used to play Risk, and you said it has a dice, and it's your turn, you roll the dice, and all that kind of stuff. Diplomacy, set basically in the First World War, and it was about the domination of empires. And you don't have any dice, and you basically you have discussions and negotiations and pacts.
There's like for each game round.
Yeah.
It's amazing design. So for each game round, you have a 15-minute obligatory pacting period. So right. The new round starts. We've done all the prep work. Now you guys go around and talk for 15 minutes with everyone, and then you write down what you want to do, and then we just read out what everyone has written, and then see what happens.
Yeah. So somebody's France, somebody's German, somebody's Great Britain.
Yeah, and you can't. You very rarely can take any territory on your own. Yeah. You need those allies. Yeah. So you go to the you're England, you go to the German player hey, let's beat France's ass.
Let's gang up on France.
That should have been a requirement on your CV to be entered European discussions. Did you play diplomacy as a kid?
Yeah. I think Winston Churchill. It's an old game. Winston Churchill had that written down as one of his favorite board games. He played it regularly.
But just remember, as a kid, it's like I was thinking, where's the dice?
Yeah, nobody.
It was literally diplomacy.
Oh, it's great. Diplomacy is amazing.
Conversations with people.
Me and some mates. We regularly once or twice a year get together and play it like a web-based version, so that you have. So the pacting takes we usually go with 24-hour rounds. So each round is 24 hours, during which time you have obviously 24 hours to do all the pacting and then go online and on the website and put in your orders. And then it progresses. So one game takes 2 months, and it's because each turn takes 24 hours. So everyone is just constantly talking to everyone, and you're going behind people's backs.
Well, I'm just glad Civilization came out the game, because that game everyone's going go straight to war. That's the default in my mind. Let's go to war and let's not discuss nothing.
This is full of discussion and betrayal. Because you'd do side deals with somebody else and
diplomacy, a discussion about
betray the person you've just.
Sorry, Japan, you cannot have oil. No oil.
No, it's kind of diplomacy is one of those it is a strategy game, but it's more like a social deduction game disguised as a strategy game. The winner is not the person. You can get far if you're really good at strategy, but the one who wins is usually the one that's best at manipulating others. Yeah, and if that's what you're thinking, grab some friends, play diplomacy either in person. It's more fun in person, but if you can't manage to get that going, which I totally get, because it takes 6 hours to play in person, then play it over the set of a month online. It's great.
I wouldn't have a clue how to play it, because my mum back then would be saying, "Hun, can you put the kettle on?" So when I was on a good rant, I put the kettle on for the mum. Here's your PG tips, and I'll forget exactly what I was trying to say. And then when I was going to go, so on the discussion, can you put the kettle on and get the biscuits again? Oh, okay, bye. No wonder it took 6 hours.
Yeah, no, but it's also one of those it's the rules in themselves are quite easy. You have like 5 things to do. You have like 3 units usually, 3 to 5 units in general. You have like, so for each of 3 to 5 units you have, just give them an order. That's it. It's very simple. But yeah, it gets intense. Shall we move on then? Quickly look through what else is coming this month. We have The Unliving. We have Terracotta. Just stop me if I come to something that looks fine, like fun. Because so we have The Unliving.
Ray's reading the same one I was, I think.
Yum.
Yeah.
Say it very slow.
Yeah.
Yum Cookstar.
Yeah,
there you
say
go.
that wrong.
Yeah.
Have you seen that TikTok? Sorry, have you seen that TikTok of the guy who writes children's books, but they're like children's illustrated books, but they're like adult puns?
No,
So
I want to look at that now.
He's written one about Michael Hunt, and it goes, Michael Hunt gets wet. I'm saying it slowly, but anyway, he just reads the story. Anyway, it just reminds me seeing this Yum Cook star, because the guy's written a new one called and I have to say it slowly, My Black Hawk.
So if someone
Girls love My Black Hawk.
So someone could actually say Yum Cook Star $5.
Yeah.
Just
Love you long time. Love you long time.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
I never remember the show going in this direction.
So that's what happens when you get Ray on a show.
Yeah.
No, I see. I'm
with you.
Yeah.
I'm behaving. Clive's on here.
Yeah. All right, shall we keep? Let's see here. What else do we have? Nobody the Turnaround. We have Goat Simulator 3, which is interesting enough number 2 in the series.
Yes.
So we had Goat Simulator 1. It was a success. So they went, let's not release a 2 because let's go for 3 right away because it's that good. That's what I think. That's the internal discussion there, which is interesting enough. A joke that we
so much into 2 they couldn't call it 2 anymore.
Exactly. Like that's I think that was a joke in the announcement. And the funny thing is, way back, I did work extra hours at Paradox Interactive for the support team, and at one point we went to an after work and we sat down and we had some beers, and then at this point they had released the game Magica, and the Magica 2 had, I think it was just been announced, or and they were going like, oh, you know what we should do? We should call it Magica 2. We should announce it, and then like a week later we should go like, oh, we've cancelled Magica 2. We're now calling it Magica 3 instead because it's that good. We're skipping a number. And now, like 10 years later, I see them doing the same joke. Like, yes, someone actually did it. So I remember talking about that joke in over a beer with people in the industry. So hopefully that's where it originated, or it's just a good joke.
It's got 4-player cooperative mode.
Oh dear Lord, that's gonna be so crazy to play with friends online. Yeah, that's gonna be if you Goat Simulator 3. It is Goat Simulator. That's all we can say. Evil West comes out on November, towards the end of the month, and then we have Color Tone Remixed, the big release of the month. Warhammer 40k Dark Tide. Heads Will Roll Downfall, and I'm assuming if they are rolling, then they're not rolling up, so Downfall makes sense. Guns, Gore, and Cannoli 2. Sure, I guess. It's an interesting title. Hidden Through Time, Cave Blazers, Railgrade, and the Legend of Tian Ding. Well, some of these don't have a date, so I guess they'll come when they come.
Evil West looks good.
Yeah, someone else mentioned in the chat before as well as a game they were looking forward to.
Yeah.
And then they have some recap on some big things that released last month.
The Legend of Tian Ding there, which is launching on Xbox Games Pass.
Yes.
Oh, it is, yeah. Then you don't have Game Pass, then you can grab it on Steam, play it on GeForce NOW. And if you do have it, then I suppose you can buy it twice, I guess, or buy it and get if you really like it. But really cool art, like comic book art style.
Yeah, that's what that sort of captured my eye. And also on the Xbox version, the Series X, I think they mentioned you play at 120 frames per second in the fight sequences. Work at 120 frames per second.
Oh, wow, that's good to know.
So it's got an old school look, but with new tech driving it.
Very nice. So that's all from GeForce Now this week. I mean, it's not a little. It's quite a lot on news. But I think the big one is sure, the games is always important, but the expansion of Africa is probably the most exciting piece of it for me. But it's not the only ones that have announced new stuff. We also have some xCloud news.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get the share back on. So I clicked the wrong button and removed it. There we go. Let's show it on stream. So for Game Pass coming this week, is it right? Because this is a weekly thing, isn't it?
Woohoo! Football Manager.
Hey,
Yeah.
Monkey Island.
Coming to PC.
And that's the Football
And
Manager is the so the console version is slightly adapted to suit more controller play.
Yeah, and it's also the one that has the touch support for the mobile release.
I tell you what,
bit clunky on the phone, but on the tablet it's
for anyone that skipped the Telltale games and you have Game Pass, definitely try those out. The Michonne one is decent, and I don't know, I really enjoyed the Telltale games. Monkey Island
Wolf
looks
Among Us.
Yeah, Return to Monkey Island is the one that I'm particularly interested in.
Yeah, it's I didn't expect it to be day one. I must have missed that, but and also like Pentiment is also not one to because I mean that is Obsidian and that is Obsidian doing
Xbox Studios as well.
I mean, and it's I did see an interview with the guys where they have been like they had this idea and they just like started developing it in secret. And then when like they were very specific when they pitched it to the Xbox bosses or the Xbox, but like, so we have this thing. It's we're just gonna show you, and then they show them the prototype, and they got greenlit because it's like very very unique.
I
it's
think if
like
they
a
described
detective game.
if they described it, I don't think it would have got.
They had to show it.
But if they're showing it, because it's based on sort of 14th century. Manuscripts and wood cuttings, woodcut style prints and stuff like that.
They don't.
Very
just
stylish
look at
looking.
here, like it's like it's one of those like a mix between like medieval drawings with some. I'm getting some like hints of like the drawings of Monty Python, but being very serious and being like a detective murder mystery.
Well, that's where that's he's taken those sort of manuscript. Illustrations, Terry Gilliam, didn't he? He took and then
made them funny.
Made funny animations. So because it's animated in place, it does certainly have that look to it. Yeah,
but this is way darker than a Monty Python.
Yeah, this is about murders and intrigue.
A master artist who finds himself in the middle of murders, scandals, and intrigue in the Bavarian Alps. Use your background and impact a changing world and see the consequences of your decision.
I think that's
this narrative adventure
is the choosing the backgrounds.
Yeah,
I think that's the mechanic in it that allows you to kind of investigate the story. I think that's how it works.
Yeah,
so like the turning of a page, and then you get a different background. I think,
guys. Before we move on with the rest of the X news, we have another guest joining us. We have the Cowboy.
Man, you bring him on right as I'm leaving all the time. Hey, I gotta go. I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry about that. I do have to bounce. Cowboy, how you been, man?
I've been doing good, man. Playing some Modern Warfare 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've been watching you, man. The game looks really good. Looks really good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But so when one leaves, another one enters.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us, Cowboy. How's your day been?
Oh man, it's kind of crazy. Well, you and I was talking a little bit. I actually had a funeral to go to today, and tied me up a bit. And so, but I'm doing okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, good. Nice that you can join us. Always fun to have you on. So we're right in the middle of xCloud news. Let's quickly go through it and see what we have going on. We have The Legend of Tianding, as Clive mentioned, coming to Game Pass day one. Looks great. Definitely. I'm expecting this to have touch controls, and I'm expecting me to play it on my phone a bit and really enjoying it. We have The Walking Dead not coming to, and so they're coming to PC. They were on the cloud.
Only,
Yeah, but they are already available on cloud.
right.
So we do have that already. Coming soon, or coming today, we have Ghost Song.
Let me tell you, Ghost Song it's a beautiful 2D platformer. It looks really nice. It's like a side scroll, beautiful colors, beautiful illustrations. That is something definitely I might stream and play that.
Yeah, sounds really gorgeous. Obviously, Football Manager. Listed.
Hey.
I
We
think
have-
that's the what was the game? The Ghost Song, I think that's the one that's like a Metroid.
Yeah, it's
Vania
something.
one.
Yeah, atmospheric 2D adventure of self-discovery and mysteries, cosmic terror. Yeah, sounds quite.
So I
quite
think
like
of the clips I saw. Yeah, I think you can't get into certain places without certain power-ups, and so you need to find the power-ups, and it's a bit like SteamWorld in that way.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
you have to kind of find everything you need to kind of progress. And
Yeah. So obviously, Football Manager coming out every year.
Fair time. Woohoo! I love this franchise. This is one of the games where I sit back,
Amazing franchise.
say the football's about to start in about an hour's time. I always load Football Manager on like my tablet, and I'll sit there and I'll focus on football, and then I'll be ready for the match. And I feel like that way,
I feel like you've prepped the team. Yeah.
I feel like I've progressed through a game by just sort of like doing this. So someone's going, come on, manager, what's happening? And there's me like that shouting, if that was my team, Klopp, on Football Manager, we would have won.
Yeah, I can do this job better than any of you coaches out there. Yeah.
Are you a hard manager on your players, HOULTS? Are you hard on the players?
See, I used to be really, really tough until people started crying about like certain wages and certain health conditions and stuff like that. And then we realize
you want to get paid. Screw that.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
all.
I put you in that position for a reason. It works. And when they complain or something like that, it's like, oh,
You drop them.
yeah.
Yeah, drop them.
It's not my fault you're a better goalie than you was a striker. Get in goal.
Yeah, some strategy is always fun. I do enjoy myself some Football Manager now and then, but I don't really have the time to put into it. I feel the console edition is also the one with the touch support. They did drop the mobile editions in I think 2 years ago, and now this console edition with as touch support, the touch support that mobile had, but put on xCloud instead. We have the big return to Monkey Island. This has been a long time coming. Like the sequel. When did the last game come out?
Oh, it's like 20 years.
20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, we have it.
Maybe they forgot how to get to the island. That's what took so long.
Yeah, they got.
Yeah, might have been. They lost the map. Couldn't find the way back. We also get Vampire Survivors, which I know.
Sorry, that Return to Monkey Island is getting like 9 out of 10 on IGN, and
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
It's getting lots of 4.8.
It is one of the most beloved franchises of all time, after all. So
yeah,
doesn't surprise me that it's
This
hard.
game is very popular. Vampire Survivors.
Yeah, I've seen Duncan talk a lot about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
it's like a sort of Bulletstorm type thing. Like I noticed, it's got a very old school look to it, but then it's just that hordes and hordes and hordes of demons and vampires, whatever, just keep coming at you, and you've got to get the right weapons, and
that's cool.
and they just keep coming and coming. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Very pixely, but in its design style.
Yeah. Then obviously we already talked about Pentiment, one of the most unique, probably one of the more unique titles on Game Pass, coming on the 15th. Also on the 15th, day one on Game Pass, Somerville. Not on cloud, unfortunately, but it is still available in the subscription. Then we have some news about some DLC and updates for Sniper Elite, for Sea of Thieves, for Halo Infinite, and for Microsoft Flight Simulator.
The Halo Infinite is the big update.
All right, yeah, they
Some
wouldn't have the
people
fresh.
Whoa,
say
new
that
mode.
That it could
Yeah.
revitalize Halo Infinite on its
Yeah,
release.
they could use some revitalization. I think
Yeah.
the numbers have been dropping quite a bit.
So you have three. So like they always said they'd bring the sort of the multiplayer mode, or the co-op mode for doing the missions and stuff like that. So now they've it brings that, and I think you play as a team of three. You play as a team of three and do the various sort of clear a fob, whatever they're called. And stuff like that, which it's always struck me as would be quite fun, having recently played it all the way through, to do it with your mates.
Yeah.
And then they've got a level design thing as well, like looks really as simple or as complex as you want it to be, like almost to the level of programming and creating and building levels for.
I love when games have that.
Yeah, but
more games should have that.
It looks like it's got a real complex level of tools to it as well, if you want to go that deep into it as well.
Yeah, that could definitely bring some new players back in. Also, leaving Game Pass soon, we have Football Manager 22, obviously, because it's being replaced by 23. We have The Art of Rally, Fate Tactics, Next Space Rebel, One Step from Eden, Superland, and Subnautica. And I realized as I'm reading this, that's like 5 games off my list of touch-enabled cloud games that I could have skipped testing over the last few months if I'd known. But yeah, they're still in my list. I think The Art of Rally was pretty decent on touch, for example. But so yeah, those are leaving. But you could of course then pick them up on sale if you want to keep them. But then again, you can't play them on cloud for now, which is not great, but it is what it is. So yeah, anything to add to the X story if we move on to the slightly smaller news items we have left for the big topic?
I'm ready for the smaller news.
Yeah. Then the next item on the list being, and I don't think we're gonna linger much on this topic. We have Google doing some gaming things again. They're bringing. Google Play Games beta for PC is now available in the US. Obviously, this service was out in Asia, in some regions of Asia for beta testing, and now it's coming to the US as well, and I think also Canada maybe. Have you got? So Canada, Mexico, Philippines, Malaysia, Brazil, Indonesia, Singapore, and now also the US. Have you tried this yet? And Kawa, have you tried it?
No. I think they had one of the greatest cloud platforms. So no, I'm not going to play it.
Yeah,
I'm not playing it.
I mean, if you this has been in the works for years. I remember. I think they started first talking about it like 2 years ago, and like completely separate from Stadia. So obviously, what it is really just Google Play games. So the mobile games.
Yeah, the Android games, isn't it?
Yeah, they're bringing them over to PC, and you'll be able to just have cross progression between your phone and your computer.
It makes sense. It makes sense for those territories in which not everybody's can afford to buy a PC or a console,
but also
you've got like a low running Chromebook or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which games are on there right now. I think it's quite a small selection now at the beginning. But I mean, if you
points out it's only 40 games, and they're all and they're mobile games, of course. They are.
I mean, they are going to be mobile games, but
there's only 40, which seems quite small considering Google Play number of games.
There's a lot of guys that are downloading, and you just popped it up on the screen, but you have to go either in your BIOS and turn on a certain setting, or go somewhere hardware virtualization.
Yeah,
if that's not turned on, you're not playing it.
You know what? There are some cool mobile games. I used to be a mobile gamer for a little bit, and I would always it'd be so cool if I could use a controller, and then it was times where you hook a controller up to your phone and you're like, whoa. So just imagine having a bigger screen on a PC. So the people who play mobile, obviously they got to put more games on there. But I
This is
think
only
that
for
this could
keyboard
be
and mouse. It's only keyboard and mouse.
oh, everyone.
And that,
I mean, it's
and
also
that,
like
that kind of killed it for me.
Yeah,
That kind of
Yeah.
killed it, and that kind of killed it for me.
not
Yeah,
all
never mind.
Android games are. So some Android games are controller compatible, but not. Not that many, because obviously they're built specifically for phones, so they never really thought
Yeah.
about.
I mean,
controllers. But there are some that are controller compatible,
Yeah.
but whether they're in this
classic,
list of 40, I don't know.
Yeah, in classic Google fashion, this is clearly like a minimum viable product solution where they release that first, and then they will keep building over time on it. It is like at the end of the day, it is a way for you to play your mobile games on your PC. That's all that it's ever going to be, and with cross-operation, which is like for some of these games is fine. I mean, there are games that are like I think I bought like Roller Coaster Tycoon on mobile. I mean, the PC versions is a bit unstable because it's so old. Wouldn't mind playing the mobile version instead. That's perfectly fine. Or let's say you're playing like like one of these Clash of Kings sort of games.
Yeah.
If you were playing one of those, and I mean, grabbing that, instead of grabbing your phone up during a meeting, you're bored, it's obviously sitting there, like you just look like you're taking notes on your laptop while in a boring meeting, and just play a little bit. So I mean, there is a market for it, but it's not I mostly brought it up into the show notes because I know a lot of people in the Stadia communities, especially, have been like, why are they bringing this out? Like, this is a completely different thing. That's nothing to do with Stadia.
Different, exactly. You can play Raid of Shadow Legends, no doubt. I don't even know that is one of the games.
Most likely
that's sort of thing that there's a massive market for.
Yeah.
In markets where console and AAA gaming is not big, but we know that mobile gaming is absolutely massive. So that's that's why they're doing it. You can see that. With that, as you're saying, it's a low entry for them, really.
Yeah.
They don't need a kind of a cloud infrastructure. They've got, I mean, mobile gaming, if a Google Play brings in like $48 billion a year for Google. So
yeah, I mean, if you have Google Play Pass, for example, on your phone, that's like $35 per year for a year, and that gives you like 800 mobile games for free. And I mean, some of these are like really good indie PC games with a mobile edition of it, like Dead Cells, for example. If you can then play that on your PC now as well, then I mean, that's not a bad thing per se, but it's just But let's move on. Amazon Luna is getting some new content. Us over here in Europe don't have much much to gain from this, but you Americans do. Luna Plus channel is getting Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Also, interesting enough, a game on Humble Choice this month. So I redeemed my copy last night of that. Vengeful Guardian Moonrider, Windjammers 2, which never arrived to Stadia, even though it was I think it was the first Connect, I think.
Yeah, I remember that it was. Yeah, exactly. It was one of the first.
Never arrived.
Never.
Yeah. Close to the Sun and Severed Steel. So if you have Luna Plus, those are added to the subscription this month. And on the Prime Gaming channel, Freshly Frosted, Baseball Stars 2, Thymesia.
I was watching Primo play Baseball Stars 2 the other night.
As someone who doesn't know anything about baseball, would I find that interesting to play?
Oh, man, I would love to show you how to play some baseball.
I've never played it in my life.
Oh man,
I want to join in because I haven't got a clue neither about baseball neither.
Yeah,
didn't you ever used to play Rounders?
Yeah, I played Rounders.
There you go.
So that's not the same thing.
It's the same.
There you go.
Just a macho version of Rounders.
You watch cricket?
No. We also have YouTubers Live, OMG Edition, and Tetris Effect.
Yeah, that was good.
So yeah,
love
YouTube's life. If you want to try living Rokk's life, and a simulation game for that now. And then obviously we also have did get some news. Our PSVR 2 is now has a launch date and a price, and it's not cheap. Classical Sony fashion right now, although it seems great.
Stadia stimulus.
So just to be clear, you got to spend 500. On a PlayStation.
Yeah.
and then you think, oh, I'll get an accessory here that's costing me 530 or even 600 euros here, which is more than the PlayStation in itself.
Yes.
Who is buying this?
Not
I mean,
me.
if you no, I mean, I will.
Yeah,
be bringing it up.
do your respective wives aware of this kind of frivolous spend?
Well, I think what he said earlier, right, is Stadia Stimmy. We're all getting a bunch of money back, right? And I didn't even process that.
Yeah.
So I never processed that because I didn't know what I was going to do with my money because I already got another console and a monitor, so I already had all this stuff. But that's a good point. Yeah, why not use it on this? Now, I'm not the biggest VR fan, but you guys all know Mr. Urban. I told him if he get this, I will definitely get one. So I don't see VR where I'm going to play it as much as I play regular gaming. But if I'm going to get VR, I can't get the Quest 2 because it's too old, right? So for me, if I'm going to introduce myself to VR, I would get one of these. One, I got a PlayStation 5 already, and two, it's state of the art. I don't know if you guys seen the videos of how they're showing, like it got retinal eye tracking, and so I even said if it comes out or when it comes out, it's probably going to be $500 at least, and I was a little off by $50, so it makes sense.
Let me break. I want to break this softly to you that as we get older. This is scientific fact now, and I've experienced this. Our sense of balance and awareness changes quite dramatically. So if you loved going on roller coasters when you were 14, you might not like going on roller coasters when you're late 40s or 50s. Trust me.
Well, I'm 46 and I still go on roller coasters.
But. Well, I went to
lucky bastard.
I went to a VR place with my son who wanted to go. So it's sure, and we played a racing game. And I tell you what, I never felt so sick in all my life.
Yeah.
Like I had to, I still had another 3 races to go. I had to take the headset off, everything, and even put it in easy mode. So because you could have it in kind of realistic mode. No, and I just said to the guy, I said, I don't understand. I drive everywhere. How? And he goes, well, yeah, some people get, a bit motion sickness. It's motion sickness increases the older you get.
Yeah.
So the idea of I've been put off by VR.
I mean, your mind thinks like sees you moving, but feet doesn't feel you moving.
Clive, I can't even go on the teacups these days, going round really slow.
Well, I did get in trouble with my wife because I put my 80-something-year-old father-in-law with the PS4 virtual headset, and put him on a roller coaster, and he went forward off the chair. So
wow.
I mean, I also have the first PSVR, and I mean, I love VR. I rarely use it anymore, but I love it, and I mean, it's one of those this is state of the art. It's probably the best VR you will be able to get, and it's considering the price of the Vive. The Vive is way more expensive, and I mean the Vive is great also. This is better.
It's not just for me. It's for we got kids. And my son, he loves virtual, and so, but I'm gonna spend more time on it. But of course, we're gonna take turns.
I love that one, right? It's for the kids. It's like, your son, I got a PSVR 2, but Daddy, you told me not to touch the PlayStation 5. Exactly. Yeah. I'll take this off you.
Yeah. But I will admit, I did the one game that made me sick was Resident Evil 7. I did when Daddy was chasing me through the building. That's the game that I did get sick. I will say I did get sick playing that.
Well, when I bought the HTC Vive back in the day, I sort of bought a steering wheel pedals, and I jumped into Project Cars, and I thought this is going to be immersive. 5 minutes later, I took the headset off and spewed everywhere.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do in the racing game. It's like it was an awful experience. I was sweating.
That's the thing. With VR, you have to VR. You really have to build up just as being on a boat. You have to build up your tolerance for it. First time you go for 5 minutes. Next time you go for 10 minutes, and then for 15, and then
he didn't have any issue.
Yeah.
He loved it. Got into the racing. He was rushing around. I could not. The guy felt so sorry for him in the place. He gave me extra tokens.
Yeah, I think what Bjorn said is good too. Is right. Like for me, in the States, we have Six Flags, right? And I still have every year we just have the Six Flags pass, right? Kind of like the movie pass or subscription. So we go often. So I've been going on roller coasters like my whole life. Like I get kind of bored now. I get some of the big drops. Like sometimes I miss that scare and I feel like I just cheated myself because I did it too much. So I feel like obviously it's for different people. I'm not a big VR guy, but so who knows? Maybe I'll get dizzy. I don't think I will. Like earlier this year, I did a video where we went to some arcade and I got in this motorcycle one. And Mr. Irwin keeps saying VR is so cool. I'm like, VR is all right, and it was really cool. I will say that. So my issue with VR was the graphics always didn't look good to me. So I feel like whenever I would see VR, I'm like, but the graphics I've seen so far for the PS2 VR, I'm like, whoa! Now that has me interested because the graphics actually look pretty good. So. But we'll see.
My extreme days are over. The last time I ever did something extreme was bungee jump, and that was it. I don't do roller coasters.
Nice.
I don't do nothing with heights. But VR, I can do VR. I can handle VR.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I agree. VR is cool, great, and like it's not. It is always going to be a niche thing because it's not going to be for everyone. And
See, it's very niche for me. I mean, I wanted to actually watch
fun.
sport. I actually want to watch sports events, so the football or live concerts and stuff like that. That's what I want my virtual reality headset to be.
Yeah.
To give you like a giant screen almost in front.
No, not just a giant screen. I'd love to giant screen if they sort out day one cinema. But I would also like to say my favorite artist is around the world playing tonight. I would love to have a virtual reality experience where they just put a camera. It looks like I'm standing in.
And they do that for a lot of these concerts. They do. There's like they put a 360 camera in like 5 different places. You can pick which one that you want to stand in. And there are even some where it's like a virtual, like they build up this virtual stage. I think Bjorn did this a few years ago. It was pioneered it. So like they build this massive virtual stage, and then you can just walk around freely in this virtual environment and experience a concert from whatever angle you want.
Because I've been burnt in the past with the HTC and the Oculus in the past, I'll wait until I see the game live, because I was bought it first and then thought the games are coming, and they never did. Them big hitters. I was like Cowboy, the game didn't visually interest me one bit.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, give it time, and I give it time. I give it like 10 years.
It's been around a long time, VR. Though. That's the thing. I mean, it's never sort of, I get a sense it's never really quite taken off.
Yeah, I think it's like, because it is so expensive to get into for consumers, there isn't that much incentive for developers to spend that much money on making really big like AAA titles, because there's no one, like, you will never get the money back.
But it's a Sony hardware. So they should be pushing first-party titles on this device. I know they're doing it.
And I think
Horizon
and they are. Yeah, but they like, and they will keep doing that. But it will always be like, we have this big game, and then we have a smaller VR experience connected to that, or a spin-off. It very rarely will be the full game. One of the best VR games I played was playing Skyrim in VR. Skyrim in VR wasn't the game. Like, I've played the game so many times before. It's like, and I mean, you could just swoop with your hand like this, and you would cut anything down in seconds. So it was like kind of broken in VR, but it was all like just being in that world in VR and having the full game available to you was worth it alone, in a sense.
Cool.
But yeah, shall we like?
I think I can manage Beat Saber. That'll be about it.
Yeah, Beat Saber. But then Beat
really
Saber.
Cool.
Beat Saber is so cool, and I mean, Beat Saber is also one of those really great cardio games. Like, you really get your sweat on.
I love the setups that some streamers have with Beat Saber. It's quite complex to do, but if you can pull it off, if you're a streamer and do Beat Saber,
so like a green screen,
with the green screen, and it knows where you are, amazing. So you looks like you're in that environment. It's a really entertaining stream.
You need all that open space, don't you? Because my friend, when he done VR, he actually went like that, and it's his mother's chandelier, and just smashed his handset and the chandelier. So
I saw some guy
I fell into it.
Do like Eminem's Rap God on a kind of really high level on Beat Saber, just incredible. But you've got great music, you've got the sense of amazing achievement that this person's, absolutely getting every beat and hit on a kind of super hyper track. It's just it's very entertaining.
I mean, if you do have a VR headset, definitely get Beat Saber. However, Beat Saber is probably best played with like a PC VR, because the PlayStation edition don't support importing your own songs or importing mods, like modded songs. Custom,
okay.
Like, it's only like there's a quite sizable library of songs in there, and you can buy you can buy DLC packs with more songs, but you can't like I would like this song that someone created on the internet. You can't just import that, unfortunately. So
if
the
you
the
import
PC
a
version is
song,
better.
then does it automatically generate the?
No, you have to someone has built it first for you,
Right,
like a mod. So it's like a modding scene for
full-on
it.
mod, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. I got to go pick up my son from school. It's amazing being here with my brother Cowboy and the legend Clive and Bjorn and HOULTS. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, Ray. And
Later, Ray.
See you later. See you later.
Son's waiting outside the gate.
Dad's supposed to be here now.
Where's my daddy? Daddy? Yes.
Teacher's going, Daddy not come for you again.
Is your
Because he doesn't love you.
is your daddy in VR? Is he?
Yeah.
He headset
Yep.
on.
Yeah.
Daddy's upset, man. He made me buy those damn Fortnite Star Wars skins last night, man. Damn you, Fortnite. All right, bye, guys.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
Later.
Right. So, did you guys see this story? That apparently, this is they've been interviewing Phil Spencer a little bit, and also talking to some other industry experts. And as they point out, I think Phil Spencer said that there's no way you succeed as a gaming company without access to the mobile players.
Yeah.
And he goes on to talk about how the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, saying supposedly saying that that's why they're buying it. They want Candy Crush. They want King, essentially.
He said that he's quoted as saying in interviews at the Wall Street Journal as well, that's one of the driving forces behind the deal is the mobile side of it, and the fact that he talks about that they're King in they feel they've sort of reached, and I've kind of said this for a while, that you kind of reach saturation point with the consoles.
Yeah,
the people who buy consoles are the same people who bought the previous console.
Yeah,
right.
And there's no new, which is why cloud was sort of sold as the new way to access the next billion gamers or whatever, to because you've sort of saturated the market in terms of those people who can afford to buy
the install basis. The combined install basis of Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony amounts to roughly 330 million.
It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to increase.
Yeah, and a lot of these own more than one devices. So Spencer points out that it's only about 200 million households that has consoles. But we talk about there being 3 billion gamers. At least a third of that is mobile, if not more. I think maybe like half of it.
And the other thing is is brand recognition. So it's a way for Xbox to introduce the Xbox brand to billions of gamers.
Yeah.
Who are not aware of, because Xbox isn't in their marketplace or something like that.
Yeah,
so it's Candy Crush by King, from King or whatever. It's now going to be Candy Crush from Xbox.
Yeah.
Call of Duty Mobile from Xbox.
Yeah, and I mean
so
they're not the only one doing
it as well. In new markets, yeah. I
mean, the EA has been buying a lot of a couple of mobile studios over this last year. Yeah. Take-Two has done the same. Sony has bought. They bought. I think they mentioned further down here. They bought one of the another studio in.
Take-Two games have seen a lot of success with their NBA. Yeah. They've got an NBA online sort of stuff and mobile stuff in China. Only exclusive in China, and then Ubisoft are rolling out the various Assassin's Creed
two Assassin's Creed games in mobile.
So they've seen the market there.
And
it is the quicker way, I would argue, to the next billion gamers than cloud gaming. Clearly,
and I think it's easier for them to. I think it's a lot easier for them to go like, all right, these 2 billion mobile gamers, we can convert 500 million of them into cloud gamers quite easily.
Yeah, as long as they recognize, get used to our comfortable with our brand, they know who we are.
Exactly. So for like we like hardcore gamers with our consoles on PCs, like we were never really, like if you think of it, we were never really the intended target audience for these cloud gaming services.
Yeah.
We are right now because we are the ones, the enthusiasts, but they don't care about us.
No.
They don't want us. They want the general gamers who play Candy Crush on their phone to instead go. Oh,
Well, Google did come out and say they was gonna, rival the console. So for me, I'm just saying, I was always that console hardcore guy. And when Google came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna have kind of like a console in the cloud. You get the same games, but you got no downloads, and you're gonna have free upgrades," they did speak to me. I was like, "Whoa!" But then later on, they kind of stopped speaking to me. So
I think they like for any of these services, you need to get enthusiasts on board first, because they are the ones that will like start things off for you. But then like the end goal was never to grab, like, can we grab half of the console gamers? The end goal was always, let's grab 2% of the console gamers and then grab 1 billion mobile gamers. So that's important.
Yeah, and build, and if you build it, they will come philosophy. That was what it was. But then they didn't really build
I've been looking at
pathway to it.
I was an enthusiast when I bought like the N-Gage, the Nokia N-Gage, and I also bought what's it called, the Xperia Play, Sony's Xperia Play, and that is when I was like, oh my god, I can't believe these companies are going to bring these mobile experience, and I think I'd just been stung by it. I think I was.
You could play Crash Bandicoot on your phone.
That was the only game I think that I remember playing. I think a terrible port of Need for Speed.
That's the difference. Is so the difference there is porting to different platforms, whereas mobile games are developed for that platform.
Yeah.
That's why they're successful. Candy Crush is developed specifically for that platform. That's why it's incredibly successful.
And I mean,
and that's the difference, I think, from trying to just take games that hardcore gamers play and just sticking it on doing a mobile version of it is not quite the way into that marketplace. You need to develop mobile games for the mobile platform.
Yeah, and as the article points out, I mean, in the 2 years it's been, Genshin Impact has earned more than $3.7 billion in revenue. Mostly thanks to the mobile. Like, it is a game developed for PC, mobile, and console, and they're developed with that in mind from day one. But the mobile market is a big driver behind that revenue, and that's. I mean, that's not.
Whenever I used to look on Twitch, you used to always see in the sort of top played games on Twitch, being streamed now with things like Free Fire. And I was thinking, oh, that looks an interesting game, this Free Fire. But Free Fire is a mobile, shooter game from Vietnam. But it is incredibly popular because it's a mobile game, and there are millions of people who play Free Fire. So much so that it's in it sort of used to be consistently in the sort of top 10 played games on Twitch. And most people had never heard, most of Western gamers had never heard of it because it's a mobile game. So that's how popular, games developed specifically for mobile, are. It's a battle royale, but it's, on mobile.
Yeah. The PUBG Mobile is really successful.
Yeah, it was. In India, they were
arguably more successful than PUBG. Period.
Yeah, there's 50 million players. There's tournaments specifically for the mobile version of PUBG. It's massive.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, I mean,
Call of Duty as well is another one.
Yeah, Call of Duty Mobile is
massive
huge.
Mobile.
And I mean, Take-Two bought Farmville developer Zynga for $13 billion.
So these big companies recognize that they're at saturation point in terms of the consoles and stuff like that. So they're just rather than reinvent the wheel, they're just buying existing wheels. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, Sony's bought Savage Game Studios, which is a mobile studio, and then they created PlayStation Studios mobile division. As you say right now, it's an additive thing. It's to find more ways for people to engage with their content and reach new audience unfamiliar with PlayStation or games. And as you say, it's a lot about the branding, but also, I mean, Sony's always going to say that because they don't want to scare the shareholders. But I mean, it is one of those, mobile is the only console. The console market is pretty much flatlined around the share that it is now, whereas mobile is still growing. And then, I mean, PC is just PC. not really comparable to anything. It's right in the middle between like high-end PCs is very niche, but whereas low-end PCs like playing The Sims is like massive.
Xbox strategy is to be a gaming company on every platform. That's what they're focusing on PC a lot more now. Xbox used to be just a console gaming company, but now they've got the whole kind of Game Pass for PC. They're launching games on PC. They want their own Xbox PC library, like an Epic store, like their own PC store. So rather than it's Xbox wants to be beyond recognized as a gaming platform, a gaming brand, beyond merely our notion of a console. And I guess the move into mobile is all part of that. They just want to be a global gaming brand on every possible conceivable platform.
Makes sense. But guys, I'm going to cut out now. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good joining us, man.
You're very welcome. Take care, Clive. Take care, HOULTS, and take care, Bjorn. And I will see you guys.
See you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Later.
Later. So I'll go for HOULTS.
I think Microsoft dropped the ball years ago because in the end they did have Windows storefront and they did have window-based games and stuff like that. So in the end, I feel like them pushing to Xbox.
Yeah, the Ballmer days.
Yeah,
that's when they dropped the ball very massively. I've heard some stories about Ballmer from people who were in meetings with him. Let's just say they aren't really. They're not shedding a good light on the man. But that's some story for another day, maybe. But yeah, I'm just going to quickly partly a shameless plug, but also show you this. I mean, I recently finished this week. I finished this massive list of trying every touch-enabled game on mobile that's on xCloud, and like seeing how
when you say trying, so
it's like 5 minutes a game each, just to like see. Test the implementation, like that. Is it playable? Is it text readable? Yeah. Is this something you could actively play on your phone and have a good time
this with? It's a big thing for xCloud is them introducing a variety in the way so bespoke layouts for specific games rather than having a generic touchscreen layout. They're really sort of encouraging developers to come up with their own bespoke layouts to suit the gameplay. And Persona 5 Royal is an example of that, where there are 5 different layouts depending on where you are in the game, and the layout suits that bit of the gameplay because there's different styles of gameplay throughout the game.
So, and I noticed that for some of them, and I mean some of them even
this really makes a lot of sense because it makes it easier for people to pick up, especially we're talking about mobile. Remember, we're talking about mobile games where the controls are specifically built for that particular game. Yeah. So building controls that are bespoke to a game that you're playing in the cloud, albeit on your mobile, is in a way of bringing those two things together.
So Bjorn, with you testing these many games out, do you feel like you've built muscle memory? Do you think that it's come natural for you to use touch features in games?
I mean, it's I've been playing mobile games for years, so it already was in some way. And I mean, so for some of these games, like it was quite obvious that like this isn't working. Like like when you go into like a game like the Midnight Fight Express, like it was playable, but I could really tell really early on that like it's gonna be clunky further down the line, like as the game gets progressively harder to like manage to hit the right buttons, even though like obviously I'll get more practice as I go, but like you can tell it's not really.
Yeah, because I was hit the wrong buttons, should I say, because the position and stuff like that, and I feel because I'm so used to like tactile feedback on a controller, I feel like I'm not used to positioning well. So in the end, I feel hitting square and hitting triangle. I'm like, oh,
yeah, and I mean it's all about where they put the button as well. Like for some Minecraft Dungeons, it's very playable on my with touch controls.
It's actually the preferred where they are.
Yeah, but like something like Minecraft Dungeons, like I think my preferred way of playing it is using the touchscreens. I would rather play
maybe if you put like some like sensitive something sensitive underneath the screen at that area, so when it hovers over, it feels like it vibrates or something. It sends some.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of...
you could like. I think there was. I think Sony. I think it was that built in some haptic feedback into the phones. That was almost to that level. I think we're probably a few years out. I mean, if like when someone figures the phone manufacturer figures out like that's worth our investment, then we're probably going to get like haptic feedback in the touchscreens, which would be great. Like not just like phone vibrates when you push the button, but like you could feel the difference through vibrations, localized vibrations. That's probably coming down the line, I would assume. But yeah, like, but if you look at like out of the almost 200 games that I've tested this way, I think it's 192 in total. I think I tested. 67 of them, I say I would recommend you playing on your phone. Most of them is like, and I mean, some of these are like, yeah, this is just like the Life is Strange. It's basically the standard overlay. They removed, like, made some slightly bigger, some slightly removed, like 2 buttons that aren't really needed. But it's just a standard overlay, very basic. Just looks like a controller slap on top. But it's very much playable because it's like it's Life is Strange. It's not that like you don't really need to have that precision. Whereas some other games like the Research and Destroy, they has like direct touch support, like it proper direct touch. But it also have gyro aiming, for example, on your phone. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that if you play on Xbox, like on the console, you don't have gyro aiming available to you at all. And it's not the only one. Like I think there were 3 games in total, I think, that had gyro aiming. Like that's not something these games have anywhere else, but only through cloud. So there are some really interesting, really good implementations, but there are also some really bad ones. There was, for example, I think it was Lawnmower Simulator, didn't have the button for throttling. You couldn't throttle up.
I think having a gyro. I think I'll go
simulator. Brilliant.
If I had a gyro, because sometimes it'll keep the phone straight, so I feel like if I slightly turn and the gyro goes off, I'll be going different directions a little bit.
However, but you also have a right stick of these.
Yeah, HOULTS. If you had a gyro, you'd also have a job.
No. You're having a gyro if you don't have a job.
No, that's what I mean. If you had a gyro, being a scouser, if you had a gyro, you'd also have a job.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there's some really, really interesting implementations here, and also, I mean,
I should get a
Xbox is
gyro.
one.
I get a gyro, and I'll be a touch inspector.
Yeah, touch inspector.
The gamepad.
Do you know what we're talking about, Bjorn?
No,
No,
I really don't. Like,
no. So when
not something we have here.
When you're unemployed, it's the benefit. The benefit was called a gyro.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now
So
I
you
get it.
used to go and get your gyro every 2 weeks back in the day.
Right. Now I
Good
get
old
it.
Basically, you sign on and then get your gyro every 2 weeks.
Yeah. No, now I get it. I saw some question in chat about did I also try Football Manager? Yes, I did. There we go.
Now that would surely the Football Manager would work quite well. I imagine on a tablet or
Yes.
something.
However, like it is direct touch. So in theory, like it's just touchscreen natively, like if you had it on, as if you had it on your phone. However, it's like it feels very much like they're emulating mouse inputs.
Right.
So it's not very responsive. And like it's like obviously on a phone you get it's like so much UI and so much text. The font size is not adapted to a phone if you're playing on a phone.
Yeah.
On a tablet is great, I'm sure, but on a phone, no. Don't play Football Manager 22 on your phone because it's not like. Yeah, on a tablet it probably worked well, but on a phone, no.
Well, that's the problem I found with Steam and their Steam Deck is that you can get playable games, but just because it's playable, when you go in there, you'll find out that audio's out of sync or like
yeah, but that's why I added, like,
UI scaling's
readability.
out of problem and stuff like that. It's just so you can't read or progress with the game because everything's small. I wonder, is like, do some games you have to drag your finger across the screen, or is it just sort of you just double tap and the sort of case will appear and double click?
There were a few where you had that curve thing, but like among the ones with the direct touch, it's basically like just as if it was a mobile app. We can like drag around, but then again, like most of them have some sort of overlay. They have the controller, like because the game that they make a custom controller for the touchscreen for that game. For example, Minecraft Dungeons, say you have a left stick for movement, and then you have the an attack button, a shoot arrow button, and you have your 3 abilities. That's it.
Well, I mean, I've loved games in the past that had touch, like sort of Rayman Legends on the PlayStation Vita, that had touch enabled, and that worked so great, and Okami on the Wii U, and you could sort of draw stuff, and it used to detect your inputs and stuff like that. So I would love games that could sort of implement all these new mechanics than just simple double click. I would like to have the whole drag, swipe, remove.
Yeah, and you do.
Yeah.
In some of these you do. Most of them have some sort of overlay, so it's like it's simulating a controller, but it's customizing that controller for the experience to make it as good as usable as possible. Some fail horribly, but some do a pretty good job. But yeah, and then I think for some games as well, like in games where you need to add a lot of do some text input every now and then, you get it's just like you get an on-screen keyboard chip pop up automatically. You just type it in as if you were texting, for example, and then off you go. It works really well. So in general, I think most games aren't there yet. A lot of there's a lot of no's on the recommended front, because either due to it plays pretty well, however you can barely read the text.
Yeah,
or it's the other way around. It's you massive letters. You can really read the text, but the controls are just floaty and off the charts.
So a game that interests me that was on Game Pass on the clouds is Persona 5 Royale, and you just said that had 5 overlays. How is that working for you?
I think it does. Yeah.
Does that work smoothly?
Obviously I only played a few minutes of each, otherwise this would have taken years. But the Persona 5, at least the initial overlay was good. It was decent, definitely playable. I wouldn't if you want to sit down and play a Persona 5, I would play it with an actual controller, either on your phone or on a bigger screen. But you could play it on your phone and have a good time, but I wouldn't recommend it. So it was decent. The overlay they had was they could have done more with it, especially when in the opening sequence when you run through the platforming part there, just in the beginning of the game, it was not really it just felt floaty and it felt kind of bad to traverse. It was hard to aim properly the jumps and things. Whereas obviously turn-based combat works great on touch, because you don't have that you just if it takes you 2 extra clicks to get where you want to, sure, it might be frustrating, but it doesn't really matter. So there's a bunch of those as well. And obviously GeForce NOW has also added a couple of games with touch support as well, and there's mostly direct touch or touch, or I think there was 2 games with the touch to mouse emulation, which never really feels good, because it means you have to do the weird double taps every now and then where you don't expect to. But most games have direct touch for GeForce NOW, but there are less of them. There were 3 of them trying to. Genshin Impact and Fortnite have more of a direct touch hybrid custom overlay. So you have when you're when you're playing in the game, you have a touch screen overlay, but then you have also when you in menus and things, it's just a regular direct touch. But I think in a lot of this case, it comes down to does the game have a mobile port? If it has a mobile port, then they could just use these.
Yeah.
Offload the everything to.
At least they've got a framework, haven't they? Of what?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for the ones that don't, Xbox have done a great job at implementing this. I think I managed to get a link to some of the public documentation for it, and it's basically we have you can either design your own stuff and use our APIs, or you can just go into it's basically to my understanding, some sort of editor that developers can go into and just add
they talked about it, didn't they? They did a presentation about the tool set that developers.
Yeah, so they have a pretty simple tool set that you can use to build and most of these overlays are done that way. Then you can take that tool set but add your own icons, or you can go just full in. Let's just use the APIs. And I think when you use the APIs and design for it from the get-go, that's where the really good ones come from. And then otherwise you have some that are they work, but you're mostly lucky that they work well, or they work decently, and that's fine enough. But I think it's a push that they did. I think it's good, the right push for them to do. I wish they would push it even harder in a lot of ways.
What I'm worried about is that by the time they perfect this type of input and stuff like that these games will become outdated, and no one would actually play them in the future. So I feel don't implement something unless it's actually very, very playable. Don't half-arse it.
And I think that's why
it breaks the mindset for them.
Yeah,
mobile gamers.
I think that's why, like, obviously on GeForce Now, you can just when at any point just bring up the standard on-screen controller. But using that for like 99% of the games, it will be horrible. It was the same thing with Stadia. They had, you could play any game on mobile, but there were only like 5 that was actually implemented for mobile for the get-go, and those ones were working really, really well. But the other ones was like, yeah, it works, but you don't want to do it. And I think that's what it comes down to. And a lot of these, like, because most of these weren't designed for this from day one.
Yeah, that's the point.
I think the only one that I've seen, the only one I saw that was like really, that it wasn't designed for it, but turned out to be really well, was 100 Days. One making game.
Well, I read something the other day about iPads, that they're actually bringing out bigger iPads because people now are using it in landscape mode, not portrait. Not using it in portrait mode, not landscape. So the way they portray how people are holding handhelds now are actually changing. So that means they would have to rebutton it again, wouldn't they, if they focus on... Do you play your mobile phone?
Yeah, it would be...
landscape?
I think it would be... like I think for gaming, you generally want to have landscape anyway.
Yeah,
like,
I think the game would force you to play it in landscape, wouldn't it?
But I'm trying to say, if we get bigger tablets now, like what
Yeah.
Apple was talking about, and people playing a portrait mode, that maybe having the buttons on the lower left and right and then play the game.
I mean, you could go with the black bars and have your controller something on the black bars, but no, I think in general, like, yes, you could. I think mobile game, like, there are some really good mobile games designed for that like portrait mode, but they are designed for that, and they only really work on mobile because very few people use their PCs or TVs in portrait mode, and rightly so. So I think, like, we are, like, I think games in general are kind of like, when you think of games, you either think of something easy, having like play with one hand, just tap every now and then, like Candy Crush. That works as portrait. Otherwise, landscape. I think, and I think that will remain for at least the next couple of years. But I think it will be interesting to see what happens when developers now that they have these tools. Like, what if I start making a game now, when I release it, like with the if I do have, like, take into account from day one, like, I want to build this with touch support from these cloud services. How will that change the way I make the game?
Yeah. It depends what your destination platform is, really, isn't it? You want people to not be a jack of all trades. You want them to be a master of one at least, and something's going to get the inferior version, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can say, I'm designing this for a fantastic console experience or a fantastic keyboard and mouse experience. If you try to please all the people all the time, so all the platforms all the time, as it were, you might dilute the elements of the game.
Yeah, and maybe with that in mind, you should keep it like mobile exclusive. I mean, like sort of Apple games versus Play games.
Exactly. I mean, Apple games are designed specifically for the Apple platforms.
Yeah. At the same time, I mean, if you are, like, if you look at it from a standpoint of, like, all right, we're building, like, we're going to start building this new AAA game. Like, it's not going to be something that we can reasonably, like, run, like, God of War. We can't run God of War on a phone. Like, it doesn't have the horsepower for it. It might have in like 10 years, but like, we don't want to do a port at that point. But if I'm starting, like, the God of War 3 now, developing that, do I, like, I can see a case where someone goes, like, yeah, but we should also have one team of the UX team should be building, like, designing the touch interface and making sure that
I'd put a team on it,
that really well.
Yeah,
like, put a team on it, because I mean,
to think, how come up with a creative way to make it work.
Yeah, especially considering, because I mean, if you're one of the suits, you can definitely say, like, there is, like, if we can make, like, if we release God of War 3 in 5 years' time, we release it onto the PlayStation. We have, let's say, PS5 continues selling. It sells really great. Sells about the same numbers as the PS4. Then you have like 100 million potential customers. If you then also make a touch interface and then stream it through cloud gaming to mobile gamers, then you could easily sell another like 500 million of the copies of the game.
But there must be certain games that they could release on mobile that they're actually playing. Because look, there's loads of emulating, like especially Nintendo Switch emulators and PlayStation 4 emulators that runs games So why aren't like these companies releasing PlayStation 4 titles or Nintendo Switch titles like 5 years ago on the handheld, on their sort of mobile, should I say now?
I think a lot of it comes down to like the amount of work is required to do it, like supporting it. But that's the beauty of running it in the cloud. You know, if you're already running, like if you release a game on Xbox, it already runs on Xbox Cloud. Why not also then spend spend the 50 hours to make the touch interface, and then you will have maybe like you could potentially have 10x the amount of players.
It sounds lazy because at the start of the panel, we were talking about like how mobile's worth multi-billions of pounds to certain games, and I'm thinking like, well, these companies have got the franchises that they could easily put that love and time in. It might cost them initial cost,
but it doesn't necessarily. The games don't necessarily. You know, the reason mobile games are, you know, so big is A, everyone has access to their mini computer, and B, the games are designed specifically for, you know, this screen, and so it doesn't necessarily equate that if you just take an existing AAA game and then just stick it on a mobile phone that you're suddenly going to get. They're different gamers, you know, like billions of sales. They're different gamers. So you've got to make it so that the people who play on this device are comfortable with, you know, just see it as another game. You know, that's why PUBG Mobile is designed specifically for mobile. There are elements in it,
and I think as Nakina points out, like Genshin Impact did it really well. And I think if you really dive into the gameplay aspects of Genshin Impact, it really shows, because like you can sit down in front of your PC or your PlayStation and play 5 hours easily. Like there is content enough to do that, but it's also designed in a way that like if you're just gonna want to do like 15 minutes at the end of your lunch break on your phone, you can still get things done. You can still accomplish things and like progress the story without any issues. Really, you can it's designed with mobile gamers, because mobile gamers play in a very different way from console gamers. They don't sit, like, very rarely will I sit down and play 3 hours straight on my phone. I will sit down, maybe play 30 10-minute sessions in a day. I can easily do that, but I wouldn't sit that's a completely different way of thinking about the design of the games. And I think that's what, when developers start doing that from day one in the development cycle thing, the focus is still like, we're building this massive AAA for consoles, but we're also going to keep in mind that this will also be played on phones using a phone, like a touch interface, and we need to make sure that it caters to their style of gaming.
I mean, I've never been interested, because once I actually loaded the game Injustice 2 on my console, and it said, remember to play Injustice 2 on your mobile, scan this QR code now and get it. And I remember just pressing next. I just wasn't interested in seeing what this game could be. Yeah,
because you're not the target audience. But like, so for a mobile gamer who then discovers Injustice 2 on their phone and plays it and has a really good time with it, might then go, oh yeah, get an ad in the game for like, you can buy this for your Xbox and play it on your TV, and like oh yeah, and then it's a different game. Like it's very similar, but it is slightly different. But I mean, for something like that, yeah, I totally get it.
So do you think like the mobile gamer, once they actually try the console, it could be too overwhelming and they just go back to the mobile and just say, it's not for me?
I think that in that example, yes, probably. But I think the biggest problem with the mobile port of that is that it got the monetization when you, like, after the initial, like, you could play 10 hours maybe, and then you hit the wall when it's like, yeah, now you need to pay like $50 a month to really enjoy this game from now on. And at that point, it's like, yeah, you lost me. You had me up until that point, but then so I remember playing about 10 hours of that game, and then I just hit that wall and was like, nope, I'm out. And I think if you, like, for someone to then, I think the aim was maybe to, like, when someone hits that, maybe they can then go and buy the console game instead. They failed to think about that it's a different kind of gamer. But I think they could have done had that input method work on the full game, stream that to people's phones, and then you could jump into a quick fighting game session in the next Tekken again. Like, you could play on your phone against someone on their PlayStation and have a great time with it.
I'll tell you, the company that done me dirty once was Square Enix. I remember trying to play the main Kingdom Hearts main storyline, and as there was progression, you were actually bringing story narratives from the mobile games that even wasn't released in Europe. These games were just handheld gaming
man.
in Japan. And I remember just sitting there going, who's this character? What? And every time I Googled it, it was, you needed to play this mobile experience. And I was like, damn, Square Enix, that was dirty what you've just done. Blending. I can see what
Yeah,
you
I
were
think
trying
there's-
to do, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's been so much like bad like missteps for the mobile games, big and small, over the years, that like it will be an uphill battle. But the fact of the matter is, like, there's so many mobile gamers out there, and there are, I think, a lot of them can be like pushed into cloud gaming specifically, and console gaming, but specifically through cloud. I think cloud is a great way to get them to play more games. So I think we will see more and more games be like first. I think we'll first come as like the Ubisoft's new Assassin's Creed AAA mobile experiences. We'll see a couple of that. Then we'll see more, and there's already a lot of like most of these successful indie games on Steam or and consoles also get mobile ports a couple of years down the line. To then like bring in an extra revenue stream after a few years, because I mean it is very different. And I did speak to a pair of developers last week, and they said like developing for mobile, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Not only monetization is very different. Like if you have a game and say like we're selling this game for like $20 on iOS and Android, people won't buy it. Yeah, because it's a very different marketplace. And also, like they mentioned, and then like on Android, there's still some problems with the piracy in certain countries. But what they really said was the biggest issue was that both Apple and Google has a tendency to go like, oh yeah, this SDK that everyone was supposed to be using a couple of years ago, it's not supported anymore. So you need to patch this 5-year-old game in order for people to be playing it.
Is it very easy to Is it very easy to download like APK of the game and just sort of break the game and then just play it on mobile?
It's not easy, but there are like for you most of these like free to play cash grabs. Because you can usually get like unlimited money if you have an APK file, but then you can't really play connected to the servers. We can still enjoy it, but and most of those are ridden with viruses anyway, so you don't want to do that. But
no, because
it is a problem in some countries.
I know back in the day in the World of Warcraft days, and that if you wanted a sort of crack game, you just played on a sort of private server. So I was just wondering, like, if mobile gamers would just connect.
There is that for mobile games as well. Not on iOS because it's so locked down, but on Android, it is a problem, especially in I think Brazil and Russia and parts of Asia. But I think what they then mentioned was like when we started talking about cloud gaming and using cloud gaming as a way to deliver a mobile experience, they were like, that is actually really interesting for us, because that meant like if they release like support GeForce Now or they support Xbox, then they only need to worry about that, and they will always work on phone as long as they've built that phone UI. So like I think we might see, as developers open, like, because I mean these guys they've been making games for, I think they made 20 games in the last like 5-6 years. That's a small indie studio, and they were like, they hadn't really heard that this was possible to do on cloud. So I think as more studios will figure that out, I think we will see more indie games, but also bigger games get touch interfaces, and then as over time, I think 5 to 10 years, seeing more and more games designed with this in mind from day one. And I look forward to it, honestly. I like playing on my phone. It's nice.
I can see it. I can see its potential. You know what I mean? Because like, I'm so used to leaning over on the bed and picking up the Switch or the Steam Deck and stuff like that. But they've got physical buttons. So in the end, in my mindset, I'm like that person. Physical hardware is never going to go anywhere. For example, I'm that gamer. Buttons are never going to go anywhere. I would love to join you on that sort of the touch experience, but at the moment, I'm just stubborn in my way, should I say?
Yeah, but it comes down to the games you play. A lot of these games are better with the controller. Most games, honestly, are better with the controller.
That's what they were originally.
Yeah, but once people start designing games, like I think Genshin Impact is one of those. Like it's good on a controller, but it's also really good on touch because it was designed for that in the beginning from day one. And I think as we see more and more games do that, I think it will be more a thing where you can play more games with touch interfaces and have a great time. But yeah, like currently out of the 192 games that I've tested, 76, so 1/3 was something I would recommend people playing on the phones. So that should give you some idea of like the current state of things.
Yeah. It's more just an added, like a sort of added bonus, or sort of, oh, by the way, if you want to play with touch controls, we've got touch controls.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I think we should probably start wrapping things up. I realize I haven't eaten dinner yet. It's getting quite late. So, Clive, what have you been? What's coming up for you this week?
What is coming up for me this week? Oh, well, I'm enjoying, as I say, just going through the various games on xCloud at the moment. So that's be doing a lot of that, and then of course I'll be back on Monday night with the Xbox Cloud Game Show. So 10 p.m. UK times. Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us as well.
Really nice pleasure. It's
been jump in last minute.
Lovely talking games.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk games. HOULTS, what have you been going?
I'm actually going to relax a little bit. We're playing a bit of Persona 5 on xCloud, to sort of, because I've played this game before. I finished it twice.
Try it on the phone. Try it on your phone.
That's what I was mentioning. I should actually test it and see what the actual overlays are like. I'm going to actually relax, take it easy until Sonic comes out on the 8th, and then God of War Ragnarok comes out on the 9th. So
is this the week where we finally see the launch of the HOULTS YouTube channel?
Wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that just showing that game? But I was actually playing Bayonetta, and I've realised how good I was actually at Bayonetta. And then you actually want to just, this is the game I could show off a little bit, pretending I've got the moves, but I was just too invested in the mindset of playing the game. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to relax a little bit, and actually looking forward to seeing what's happening in the space coming up to Christmas.
Yeah. And as for myself, I've hopefully I can crack out the video on the results of this big cloud touch review thing that I've done into a video. Might be next week, might be this week. I'm not really sure what I have time for. I also have some GeForce NOW review coming out, and I kind of want to make a video on about Mountain Blade Bannerlord as well, because that's my game of the year so far. It's really good, so pick it up if you haven't played it. That's all I can say. Mountain Blade Bannerlord is amazing. And also, I also did an interview last week with the developers of these guys, the card game Metroplex Zero. That will be the full interview. Will be dropping on Rokk's channel actually, to get it to some more eyes on it. So we'll be dropping as part of that. I think we'll show a snippet of it maybe next week, because we didn't manage to prep this out of it. I have like a minute clip that I've extracted from it that we're gonna put into the show next week. But yeah, this game releases. They pushed forward the release date from December to last of March next year, and I think they mentioned that was due to actually getting a deal with a publisher who wanted to publish their game in China. So they are now translating the game to Chinese and adding some extra time to make the game. Really cool game, and yeah, the interview with them, I think we sat down for like almost 1.5 hours talking about the game and game development and how it is to build games. That's coming out on over here at Rokk's channel. Hopefully, so probably sometime at the end of the week. And also, don't forget, we have a giveaway. Rokk has a giveaway, so you can win the Callisto Protocol on a platform of your choice, plus either Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, PlayStation Plus Premium, or NVIDIA GeForce NOW 3080 for 60 days. And just go to Rokk.co/call. And when you do, you greet it with a nice little giveaway entry page like this. Just follow the instructions and enter be entered into the giveaway. There's 29 days left. There's 2,000 entries. So, I mean, not too shabby odds, to be honest.
Good odds, but I'd be jealous of the person who wins it.
Yeah, I mean that's that's about $100 worth of stuff right there. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, chat, for being amazing throughout the entire night. There's been a lot of activity in there that's been fun to engage to keep up with. And yeah, again, thank you, Clive, so much for joining us.
That's okay.
And HOULTS, get that YouTube channel up. I'll see you all next week. Before we hit the outro starts, I also want to add the outro is amazingly written by Code Z, amazing guy who wrote this outro specifically for the show.